Hello, yes, that's right. It's Joe here live for Joyrider TV, back with some very interesting Q&A about catamaran sailing. Hold on. Are we getting any audio? Just have to check this very quickly. Could someone in the live chat just confirm that there is some audio, because my little things that usually flash are not flashing. All right, nice one, Ryan. Got it. Sound on is on, live and audible. Edmund, thank you very much. And yeah, so thanks for tuning in. And I'll just say hello to everyone who's in the live chat. So hello to Cucks Ollie. Have a nice day to everybody, says Ollie there. Edmund says, will questions about video equipment be taken? Apologies for asking. If not, yes, questions about video equipment will be taken. Oh yes, they will. Very much so. It is actually one of my favorite topics. So yes, definitely. We got Ryan in Maui on board, of course, channel member. If you're in the live chat and you're wondering why some people have got a wide range of interesting emojis and their name is in green, it's because they are a channel member. You too could become a channel member of Joyrider TV. I'm sure there's all sorts of places where you can click, but it's a great way of supporting the channel without having to leave the platform of YouTube, because you could also use Patreon, of course. But there we go. All right, we've got Benny on board in Sweden. Nice one, Benny. Good to have you there. All right, Ryan says, YouTube never lets me see the very beginning of the video. It's kind of weird. I'm glad I'm here. Great stuff. Glad you're here too, Ryan. All right, we got Philip on board, I believe, in Ireland. Top of the evening to you, Philip. Paul's with us. Oh, that's a test. Where is Paul? Maybe. All right, I'll have to come back to you on that. And Ryan says, in Maui, Hawaii, heavy rains here, chocolate milk ocean right now. Oh, okay, lots of white water. Gotcha. All right, and then we've got armored lion is with us. Yeah, sometimes the YouTube user handles are quite difficult to process for me. Anyway, as advertised, we're just going to have a little look at how we can make best out of difficult launching situations. Now, this topic has been prompted by Greg, who sails a 1984 Hobie 16 out of Northern Michigan, USA. And he says, I've drawn his diagram here, by the way, if you were wondering. He says, to launch my Hobie 16, I have to go between two boat hoists. So these are boat hoists. These are pontoons. And this is about 15 meters apart. So to 15 meters, a Hobie 16 is a third of that. So let's see if I've got something that is about the right scale that I could, yeah, a bit bigger than that, the 16. So just for scale purposes there. When the wind is onshore, like that way, so this is the land, this is the water, this is where we're trying to get to. So in onshore wind, it's absolutely fine. But when the wind is offshore, it's quite scary, because as I'm sure you could imagine, with only 3 times the boat length of the boat. So here's the wind. If the wind is blowing this way, even if you took the boat all the way to this corner with it pointing into the wind, there's not much chance of making this bear away. And if there was more than, let's say, very little wind, it would be extremely emotional. And also, when the wind is offshore, it's quite often that it's really gusty because of the trees, buildings, anything else on the land. So this is a difficult situation. So Greg asks, how would you handle a launch in this situation? Right. So yeah, first one, if the wind is really light, I would take the boat to whichever way there's a slight bias. So, you know, it's reasonably rare that the wind is perfectly straight on or offshore. So if it was a little bit more this way, I would take the boat over to this side. Oh, and by the way, the water is deep here, so we can't walk the boat out. I would take the boat to this side. This is the easiest scenario first. So the boat is like, yeah, all right. I would take it over to this side, go back up as much as possible, and then if the wind was light, that is. So this is in like 5 knots of wind or less, and then go for the bear away. Even in that wind, it's still reasonably high risk. So what can we do? And what can we do when there's a reasonable amount of wind? Okay, so probably no probably about it. One option is going to be just put the jib up on the boat, leave the mainsail down, and sail out just with the jib. So put the boat in the water, get it actually pointing out to sea just with the jib on, obviously with the jib sheets all the way out when you're getting organized, and then jump on the boat as soon as you can, rudders down, and then just steer the boat out here. And then, of course, you have got the what can be quite a tricky task of hoisting the mainsail at sea, or yeah, you'd have to hoist the mainsail at sea. And then if you failed to hoist your mainsail, if the wind wasn't really strong, you can't sail quite so close to the wind. So it could be a little bit sketchy. So to be honest, not sure if I'd go for that one unless I was very confident in my ability to hoist the sail at sea. And from seeing some of Greg's videos, I know a lot of the time Greg is sailing single-handed, which would make it even more difficult to get the mainsail up. Yeah, so perhaps the best way to do that would actually be, depending on the nature of the bottom, is to take a small anchor on the boat. Like if you saw the video on anchoring the 16, you'd see I used a folding grapnel anchor, which is one that folds up. You could even put it in a bag, which could then just bungee to the trampoline, go out on the jib, get into enough space, then chuck the anchor out to hold the boat while you put the mainsail up, because that's the difficulty, is when you start trying to put the mainsail up, the boat might start wanting to sail. Tricky. So that would be one option. Now, the or if luck would have it in such a way, if there was a beach off to the side that way or that way, then you could go out on the jib, sail on the jib to another beach, or if there was another pontoon you could come up to, or yeah, or even if you could come out with the jib, and then if there was a way that you could tie the boat to the end of one of these pontoons, that might be quite sensible. Boom, could do. Yeah, so there are options there. But what I would probably do, knowing me, if I was faced with this situation, I'd put the boat in the water, head to wind, and then depending on how strong the wind was, I'd walk the boat back as far as I could for the depth, and then I'd jump onto one of the bows, rudders up, and just come out backwards. The the boat will sail backwards very nicely, but if the wind is shifting direction, it might steer a little bit as you're going backwards. So that would, of course, depend on the size of the gap there. But we can, as you may have seen in some of the videos, we can sail backwards on the boat with steering. So if you sat on the boat, rudders down, and then boat head to wind, and then if the wind was strong, the boat will naturally go backwards. You just have to be ready to steer, and you'll be steering in reverse. When you're going backwards, the rudders become very twitchy. So it would be worth practicing this out at sea before trying it in a confined area like this for the first time. But that would be almost certainly how I would go about it. Just going out backwards until you've got enough space and then make that bear away. That is what I would fancy in that situation. Yeah, other than that, there aren't really that many options. I suppose the other one is back to the anchor, because coming in isn't going to be such an issue, we don't think, because when you come in, you just come in through the gap. You're going to have to do some nice tacks inside here, but it'll be very easy to stop with the wind being offshore. But thinking about it, what you could also do is, if there's a fixed point on the land, something very strong, you could tie a long piece of rope. Don't know if Greg said how far that is out. No. A long piece of rope, so longer than this distance, tie it to something fixed on land, and then take a turn around your front beam or something with this is sounding a little bit sketchy, actually, especially if this is used by other people, this bit of water. But I was going to say you could just basically pay the rope out to allow the boat to drift out backwards, but more controlled. Yeah. All right. So that are the best options I could come up with for this situation. Of course, if anybody has any other ideas what you could do, small outboard motor, a paddle, that sort of thing, put it in the comments. So if the wind was in any other direction, it wouldn't be such an issue. Like if the wind was onshore, so blowing in the directly opposite direction, then you just have to start off on one side and tack, go as far as you can, tack, and then the next, you'd want to put your tack in so that when you're on the new tack, you're getting quite close to this obstruction here, so that you've got as much distance away from this one as possible. Or I suppose you could always go a bit further and then tack again. I thought I'd add some extra little challenges into this scenario as well. So what if you were launching your boat in a in a marina where where there are yachts? So if you were launching from, let's say it was a wooden slipway in the middle here that goes water, and when you get down to here, this is very where we had to launch in Riva del Garda for the first ever European Championships. Same situation, wooden going into the water, and where the slipway was in the water, it was so slippery that if you put a foot there, you were in doom. Yeah, and then as well as that, we've then got moored boats, both sides, with their lines out like that, and that's all the way along. Similar situation, just even worse here. So the answers for this situation are the same, but yeah, so if it was offshore, I think the only way you could do it would be just with the jib. Then again, you'd then have to put the mainsail up while once you're away from this area, or if you could get to a nearby beach, which is Riva del Garda, Italy. Fortunately, there was that possibility to go to a nearby beach where you could put the mainsail up if it was offshore. Then if it was onshore, doesn't get that much better with this amount of obstructions, because if you're sailing this onshore, so yeah, if you're sailing this way, then you'd have to really short tack it, really watching out for people's anchor lines. Then at an event, what makes this worse is there's probably another 15 boats trying to do it at the same time as you. Absolute poor situation, especially onshore wind coming back in. That's a good question. What would you do if you were coming back in this situation in an onshore wind? Well, thankfully, the answer to that is pretty straightforward. And let's put it into the context of if there was a regatta going on and you had 15 boats trying to get here at the same time, then what generally happens is people would go into like a holding pattern here. And in most classes, especially the tornado class, everybody is very respectful of who got there first. So we'd go here, putting the boat in a hove to position. And then when it's your turn, this when it gets a little bit critical, drop the mainsail and sail back in just on the jib. So then when you hit this slipway, you don't even have to turn the boat into the wind. Just crew jumps off and grabs the boat. Helm then wrestles with the rudders and the centerboards, and then get the trolley, pull her up. And that is the best we can do in that situation. Yeah. If the wind's blowing side onto here, then it can get even worse if it's busy with a lot of boats going in, because what will happen is the first boat will go in beam reach, so pretty fast, turn into the wind here, and then they may take far too long to get their boat on the trolley and out, which means if the second boat starts his approach before, he might have to go outside here where the water is probably going to be too deep. And yeah, if you are in this sort of situation to a confined space, just really wait until it is your turn to come out before you try coming out. Otherwise, it is going to get much more difficult. Right, whatever situations have I outlined here? All right, I've done one more, and this one was, in fact, I'll keep. No, will I? No. This was the situation that we had. Well, that there is at the, what's it called? The yacht club in Thessaloniki, which hosted the Tornado World Championships. But I'm sure it's not unique. It's when we're trying to launch our beach catamarans from a club which is more set up for yachts. So what we had there, we'll keep, land is here, and then this is like a harbour wall, so very steep, and the boat is kind of this wide. All right, so this is a floating pontoon with a little ramp coming down onto it like this. This is a harbour wall, so there is a steep drop off the harbour wall. So launching the boat off the harbour wall is not an option. So you have to wheel the boat down onto the pontoon and then launch from the pontoon. So the pontoon in this situation was just wide enough for the wheels of the launching trolley to go down there. So you'd have to stand between the bows so that you could actually stand on here and go down. So you may ask, what would you do in this situation? This doesn't look easy. So this is a pontoon, not a slipway. So the first one is if, and I remember the situation we had, there was no option to go on this side because there was a yacht moored on that side. So if the wind was blowing, first one, if the wind was blowing in this direction, what would we do? We're going to come to it, by the way, on this topic, we're going to come to a very nice conclusion after we've done this one with some key points. So stay tuned. All right. So what are we going to do? We're going to wheel the boat down a good distance, maybe all the way to the end. And then what we'll have to do is, if this is the boat, we're going to reverse the boat off the side, try to get it as square as possible with the wind in that direction. So we can't attach the main sheet at this point because we want the mainsail to be able to go out all the way. And when going in, what we have to do is lift the bow of the boat as high as we can, so the back of the boat starts floating, and then that's going to start drifting round like this as it goes in. So when we get to about there, one of the sailors is going to have to pull the trolley out, and then the other, it's just going to get blown round. It's going to hold on to the boat while the trolley gets sorted out. And then from here, it's pretty easy. We just give it a bit of a push off. Once the wind catches the jib, then we're sailing. And in this situation in Thessaloniki, it went from this to the situation that we talked about before, because this is launching into a marina. Yes, it was a bit more spacious than Greg's situation, but that is what was going on there. So that is with the wind in that direction. So we're just going to, and to be honest, that would also work with the wind in any direction from, from here to all the way round to here. But the difficulty comes when the wind is blowing from this direction. So we're actually going to have to think about this a little bit. So if the wind is coming in any way from the left, this is going to be tricky, I could tell you. But what we'd then have to do is have the boat the other way round. So, and then reverse the boat down here. Again, sails out as much as possible. And it's absolutely not going to work to take the boat off the side. So if the only option is the side, then we're going to be back to not having the mainsail up until after we've launched. That's going to be almost not possible to do. So we go backwards all the way, and then we do this same reversing maneuver, getting the bows as high as possible so that the back of the boat starts floating, trolley out, boat will swing round, and then we hold the boat on the end there. Once the crew comes back from dropping off the trolley, then jump on and off we go. This pontoon launch situation was made more difficult, of course, by the fact that there were 30 tornadoes trying to do the same thing. And everybody at the end of the day, when it came to coming back, was very keen to get their boat out of the water as soon as possible. But what I found with the coming back in was very much a just going for this corner, pretty much, whatever the wind direction, going for this corner and just trying to have the boat stopped by this corner, because that gave us the most options. So with any situations where the launch is not straightforward, I think a very good plan of action is always going to be to really have a look and analyze what you can do. So with the options of sailing backwards, sailing out just with the jib, having the main sheet unattached, things like that, perhaps even getting on the boat and paddling it away, if that is a possibility. But really have a good think about it before you even start moving the boat. That is a good idea. If you're at a club where there are other boats sailing, like if you are visiting a sailing club, like in this situation, what we all did, the visiting competitors, was in the earlier races, we let the local guys go in first, look at how they did it, and then copy them, because they've done it before and they know how to do it. So there we go. So thanks very much for your question, Greg. I hope that answer is of some help, or at least just to let you know that you're not alone in finding certain launching situations difficult. The other thing, of course, is to look to see if there are any alternatives, any alternative places where you could put the boat into the water. There we go. All right. So at this stage in the game, I'm going to check in with everybody who's checking in. I'm getting the impression that perhaps my internet connection isn't quite as lively as it could be. So hopefully you're still with me out there. If not, you're missing out on some great stuff. Sorry. But anyway, checking in. Who have we got online? Yeah. Mr. Tony KP in Ebeltoft, Denmark. Great to have you with us. Said still too cold. Just picked up new foot straps for my trampoline yesterday. I'm ready for the season. Very nice. Yeah. It really does give your trampoline a facelift if you can put new on the trampoline. By the way, in English, we'd call them toe straps, whereas foot straps would be ones which we fit to the actual hull on the outside. But by putting new toe straps on the trampoline, you can really give that bad boy a facelift. And you get that peace of mind knowing that when you put your feet under the toe strap, sorry, correct myself, you're less likely to get ejected off the boat. All right. So Edmund says in the launching chat, get a passing fishing boat to throw you a tow rope. Yeah, I think that's a fair plan. Let's have that. Okay. Philip says use a paddle. We got Max on board in Rosenheim, Germany. Nice to have you with us, Max. Don't know how close Rosenheim, Germany is to Dusseldorf, but this is big news. If you didn't see the big news video, is I'm going to be in attendance of, I believe it's still the biggest boat show in the world, which is called Boot, which I believe is German for boat, in Dusseldorf, Germany. And that is not this week coming, but the week after. So it starts next Saturday, and I will be at that boat show from probably Monday afternoon through till the end of Thursday. So if you're thinking of going to the boat show in Dusseldorf next week, and it's possible, and if you want to come and say hello, then between those days would be best, because that is when I'll be there. And yeah, let me know if you're going to be there. I will be located in the vicinity of the Hobie Class Association stand. That is where I will be generally situated, unless of course it's a bit quiet, in which case I might go and have a look around, make some videos. If I see some interesting stuff, I think that's nice as well, to let you guys know what is on offer at the biggest boat show in the world. Very good. I've got some bigger news coming, even bigger than going to Germany. I know. How does this even happen? It just does sometimes. So there we go. All right. Ryan says, how about, all right, here we go. This is a launching one. 15 to 20 knots directly offshore. If I go out bow first, I can't get the rudders down right away as it feels uncontrolled. If I go stern first, so backwards, it's difficult to turn it in the into the downwind position. All right. Yeah. So let's say windy, directly offshore. If I go out bow first, I can't get the rudders down, feel uncontrolled. If I go back first, difficult, turn in the downwind position. Yeah, I think I would yeah, just go with the jib. Sorry, just go with the jib. I would say as long as your mainsail is fairly easy to well, not too difficult to put up. Yeah, Ryan says his preference is going out stern first. Yeah, that is what I would do as well. But sometimes it's not going to be the most elegant method to leave. Sometimes you've just got to do what you've got to do. Yeah, but sometimes you have got to think out of the box and go backwards, even if everybody else is saying, why don't you just go forwards? It's easier. But if you can't get your rudders down, then you're out of control. So, yeah, sometimes there's not actually a way to do it in a nice looking method. You just got to do what you got to do. Thank you, Ryan. All right, Edmund TJ says, your forestay mount for the GoPro was a revelation, and thank you for introducing me to the Instamic, though not sure about it while it still has a micro USB and not a USB-C. Yeah, I found the one the Instamic, by the way, I haven't got one handy at the moment, is it's the microphones that I use for all of the videos on the water. It's really small, waterproof, and perfect for what I'm doing. But the one slight niggle with the Instamic is it does have a micro USB connection for connecting it to the computer, which it only likes, like most people, I've got drawers full of micro USB cables, but the Instamic will only talk to like one or two of them, and it will of course talk to the one that it was supplied with, but that is my only negative point on the Instamic, but I really like it. All right, nice one, Edmund. All right, Edmund back in, who says, I'm going on a 40-foot rental yacht next weekend from Hamble to Honfleur. I used to teach on dinghies, but no experience on yachts. Any tips in general and any GoPro mounting tips on a 40-foot yacht? I think what would be really nice on a boat like that, I think it's really nice on any boat, to be honest, is to get your camera on a stick. So if this is your boat, get a stick, a stick. Like I use a lot of old windsurfing masts, and it just gives you a really good view of the whole, of more of the whole boat. I would certainly set, if you're doing this sort of shot, set the GoPro to super view rather than wide, because that means you're more likely to catch more of the action. And, you know, have the stick coming out here. With the regular GoPro, if you can have the stick, so if this is the boat from the side and this is your stick coming out the back, if you can have the stick with a bit of angle, always lash your stick in two places, of course, otherwise it's not going to stay where you put it. If you have it with a bit of angle and then your camera is here, then you won't see the stick in the picture. So that really helps if you're using a regular GoPro. And then, of course, so you could stick it out the back at an angle, stick it out the side. And then, of course, the glory shot, which would be pretty easy to do with a yacht, because generally on a yacht, you've got all sorts of bow fittings here, is get a stick out of the front. Sorry. A bit like a bowsprit, and so you film the boat from in front. That would look very cool. Then, of course, we've got all the up the mast options. Now, what would be the easiest way to get a camera up a mast on a yacht? Yeah, perhaps on a stick. Yeah, if you've got a spare halyard, you could actually hoist your stick up the shroud of the boat. So if this is side of the boat, shroud, put a loop at what the end of the stick that has got the camera on, and another loop at the other end which goes around the shroud, and pull the stick up the shroud to get a bit of height. Or just have a stick which is long enough so you can mount it somehow on the deck, or on the you've got these guardrails on the side of the boat with these uprights. You could lash your stick in two places to one of these uprights, have the camera pointing down to the cockpit so you can see what everybody's up to. That would be very cool as well. Yeah, so few options there. All right, back to the live chat. Duke is on board. Hello, Duke. Duke says all the 2024 races on the west coast of the USA have been posted. Get out here, Joe. That is touching on my next big bit of news, actually, Duke. Yeah, it's nothing is completely confirmed yet, but I am possibly going to be coming to the USA, near to I think it's called Ocean Springs, near to New Orleans, to do the Hobie 14s. What is that? The North American Championships, and then the Hobie 16 midwinters at Ocean Springs at the start of April. This is brand new news just in. It's not confirmed yet, but hopefully by the end of next week, by the time I go to Germany, I will be able to confirm that, yes, I'm going to be hitting the States. I'm not going to be able to get to the West Coast as well on that trip, I don't think. Although, maybe I should. Maybe I should make the trip a bit longer and just get another flight and off we go. All right, I'll look into it. But there we go. So that is news just in. All right, Edmund says there is an ensign Flagstaff, which does exactly that. Great idea. Thank you. All right, nice. Continues. You can get one of those small skateboard dolly camera mounts and tie that to the halyard. That would keep the camera in a fixed horizontal position. There we go. So some good mounting ideas there. All right, we've got First Light Sailing on board. Hello all. Hey all. Great to have you with us, First Light Sailing. Now, who fancies another preloaded question? Yeah, I certainly do. Yeah, preloaded question. This one comes from Merrick, 1888. And his question is, assuming Merrick is a gentleman, of course. Any thoughts on sailing any Hobie kayak would be much appreciated. As you may or may not be aware, and it's generally seen, could we say generally? Yeah, generally seen widely as a bit of a shame that Hobie Cat, the company, they've had to put less of its focus on the sailing boats that we talk about, like the fiberglass or roto molded catamarans. Less focus on those boats, and their big marketing push is onto the roto molded kayaks because they sell in massive numbers. And it is a shame that that is the way that things have gone for Hobie Cat, that the kayak is now what is keeping this is speculating a bit here, but I would say without the plastic kayaks, with the amount of regular boats that are being sold, Hobie Cat probably couldn't keep going. They need that income from the plastic kayaks to keep going, because they sell a lot of these kayaks because they've got some really good design features. And when Merrick is asking, sailing on a Hobie kayak, the Hobie kayak, which, as far as I know, the only one which you can sail is called the Mirage. And the Mirage is actually a trimaran. So you've got your regular kayak hull in the middle. And then you've got outriggers like this. And of course, it's all connected together very nicely. And then the Mirage comes with a sail. If you're familiar with the Hobie Bravo from, they don't make them anymore, but the Hobie Bravo had a furling sail that rolls around the mainsail. That's what Mirage has got. But as well as the sail, it's just got the one sail. It's got two seats, and the seats are in line like that. So that would be the front bit of the seat like that, looking from above, of course. So it's got the rolling sail that rolls around the mast. I am reliably informed that the Mirage actually sails a lot better than you would expect. And you can sail upwind with it. You can reach with it. It's when the wind gets up, it feels reasonably sporty. But the unique thing with this boat is, as well as the sails, it's got this, I've written this down. It's got the dual Mirage drive 180S and ST turbo kick-up fins, which basically it's this system that has been designed by Hobie Kayaks, where under the boat, where the centerboard would be, instead of a centerboard, when you're sailing, it acts as a centerboard, but it's connected to pedals, like pedals on a bike. And when you pedal it, these go like this, side to side, and they're angled in such a way that they propel the boat forwards. This is the system that is used on most of the Hobie kayaks, which has made them so popular. And it's low effort for good speed. Maybe I should get hold of one and do a how fast does this bad boy go? I think that would be rather interesting. But that is the unique selling point of the Hobie Mirage, as well as it being fairly cool because it's a trimaran. What else does it have? It's got a kick-up centerboard, very good. Pivoting crossbars for easy transportation. It's got the outriggers. It's simple to launch, and it's got twist and seal hatches, and the hatches have got bottle openers. That's what it said on the website. So I think well worth having a look at one if this is what you want to do. If you want to go out and do some fishing, this is what a lot of these boats are used for. If you want to go out and do some fishing, you haven't got much storage space, and you want something that perhaps you don't need very deep water to take it. Perhaps you want to take it out when there's no wind at all, then this flipper system is going to be really good for you. But you want to be able to sail it back in if the wind gets it up while you're out, or take it for a sail because sailing's nice, as we know. Yeah, so there we go. The Hobie Mirage is the one. Google search, see what it looks like. Yeah, it's nice. All right, back to the live chat. Duke says, last year sailed against a Hobie 33 monohull fast boat. Yeah, I think Hobie did dip a toe into the well, obviously into the world of larger keel boats at one stage. Oh, I see. First light sailing is Christian. Come to do race to Alaska. I don't know if I'm ready for that sort of punishment, Christian. All right. And Max is just letting me know about my lack of German geography knowledge. Rosenheim to Dusseldorf is about 700 kilometers, but he's going to be hitting the Wildwind Beach in June. Very nice. Okay, next in the preloaded questions. This is a good one. You'll like this. All right, so this is from Arevi Tour. Hope that's pronounced correctly. And all right, let's read the question first before drawing the picture. I think that's standard. Says, is it possible to add a front trampoline to the Hobie 20? But let's broaden the question to the Hobie 20 or any other type of catamaran. Good question. I'm thinking to add a bar to the front by fixing it with epoxy and screws on both sides. Something like a boom. What do you think? Is it possible to tighten a screw on the base of the catamaran at the front? I think this is perhaps even overthinking it a little bit. So what I'm going to say is, if I wanted to fit a front trampoline to my catamaran, this is what I would do. All right. First, we need a catamaran. So here we go. What we're going to need is, of course, we're going to need to get a trampoline made for this purpose. And when we get a trampoline made, we don't want it to be a straight-sided square, because if we do that, we're not going to get any real tension in it. But what we want is to have it so that there's scoop out of all of the edges. This is quite exaggerated, of course. And then what I would do is have it so it's completely mounted on ropes. So using some good Dyneema cord rope, or you know, on these big trimarans like Dragonflies, they actually put cables down the edges of the trampoline. But for us, Dyneema rope, put some purchase in the rope so you can get it tight. But then the interesting point made was to put a bar across the front. And I would say that is a good idea, perhaps even necessary, to put something between the bows, something solid, because if you put a load of weight in this trampoline at the front, or even if you put a load of tension to get this edge tight, so let's draw it onto the boat, it's going to be pulling directly inwards on the bows, which that pull inwards combined with the pull of the bridle wires, which is also inwards, might be too much for the hulls, and the hulls might actually collapse. But rather than epoxying something to the hulls, what I would do, so this is she would be, of course, one of the edges, like maybe this back edge, you could even have that with a straight edge so that you get a little bit more space, a bit less of a gap there. But this bar, what I would do is get a piece like maybe something like an old boom, a solid section, have it so it's got some sort of eyelet in each end. Or if it was just, you could use just a piece of a tube with a hole drilled in each end, and then shackle it or somehow attach it to the bow fitting points on each side. So you've got this bar attached to those points, and then rather than having the trampoline go to the bow tangs where the bridle wire is attached to, have it so that the ends of the trampoline go to this bar. So when we're pulling inwards, rather than pulling the bows, we're just pulling the bar against itself, which isn't going to put that inward strain on to the hulls themselves. And then the general way of tightening such a thing would be where the rope comes out. Are we going to be able to draw this? Where the rope goes out, we're going to want to pass that. Let's have the rope in a different color. Pass it through an eyelet of some description or round something. Even if you just went around the front beam, that would work. And then put an extra loop in the rope here. You have to tie a knot, and then that would go then through the loop, so you've got some purchase, so you've got a 2-to-1 to crank that in, and that will get it nice and tight. That is what I would do if I wanted to do that. I've noticed Duke has said, do not do this to a 20. Yeah, we could then question, why do you want to add a front trampoline to a Hobie 20? To make it into a party boat, that sort of thing. Yeah, really consider if you want that extra bit of real estate on your boat before you start doing it. All right, so there we go. I hope that helps. But no need to epoxy a bar actually onto the boat. And also, if you epoxy something onto the bar, that's pretty, what's the word? Final. That's pretty final. You know, you're not going to take that off easily. Whereas if we shackle or tie it onto the bow tangs, then it's going to be, if you decide that you want to go and do a competition, or you've just decided you never use this trampoline on the front, then yes, you could just take the whole lot off very easily. All right, so I've got last question for today, because we've been going nearly an hour now. This question comes from Axel. Axel asks, is the Hobie Tiger a good catamaran? Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say no. It's not a good catamaran. It is a great catamaran. Oh, yes. I absolutely love the Hobie Tiger. I can't say enough good things about the Hobie Tiger. It is such a great boat to sail. It's what could we say about the Hobie Tiger? It is all right. Number one, the hulls. The hulls are very durable. So durable, in fact, that we use them while we're sailing holidays, where they get used by a wide variety of different sailors. And every day they get pulled out of the water. We have a stony beach and the boats just keep going. They are very well built, very strong. The shape of the hulls is really good for all sea states, loads of volume, so they carry weight very well. So if you're sailing with either two heavy sailors, like upwards of over 150 kilos, 180 kilos even, or if you want to sail with more people, then the Tiger has got loads of volume. It's got not massively deep dagger boards, but the dagger boards add the performance that you need, which is ideal. I don't know how many other good things I can say without actually writing something down. But the Tiger is a great boat, and if you've got an offer on a Tiger, then yes, I would say it is a good choice. Depends on what you want to do with it, of course. If you sail in a shallow lake and you're never going to be able to put the dagger boards down, perhaps you're better off with a boat with a skeg hull or with asymmetric hulls rather than dagger boards. But it goes really well. It's got spinnaker, which means your downwind sailing is very exciting. The negative point of the Hobie Tiger is only if you want to sail at a high level in the Formula 18 class, then unfortunately the Hobie Tiger is no longer particularly competitive about the other Formula 18 models. But it is a great boat. It's got a great sail plan. Responsive. It will take loads of wind, as it will get you going in 5 knots, but still be going in 30 knots. Very nice boat. So yes, yes, and yes. Thank you very much for your question. All right. So, can I do something here? Just 1 second. Can I copy? No. No. All right. So, Max says, by the way, hit the like button. Yeah, if you've got a spare finger, then please do hit the like button. That'd be very nice. All right. I've got a question from Alpha B2C. But I'm really sorry, Alpha B2C, but I understand where you've written je ne parle pas anglais. Yeah, and I don't speak French, I'm afraid, to such a degree that I understand your question. So apologies for that. But if you could whack it into Google Translate, then that would be ideal. All right, this is probably the best question of the session from Benny, who says, when is the next session? Next session will be on Friday next week at the usual time. And then I'm off to Germany on Sunday. So, the following week, there won't be a Q&A as such, but I'll be doing some stuff from the boat show in Germany. So I'll keep you updated right there. Okay, so thanks very much. It's been a pleasure. I hope you've all having a lovely weekend already. And I will see you soon with some more on Joyrider TV. Thank you very much.